Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here today with one of our fantastic Fresh Starts experts, Bridget Borel. Bridget, can you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Bridget Borel. I'm the founder of Clarewell Financial Planning. I am a certified financial planning professional and a certified divorce financial analyst.
So, Bridget, you work with a lot of people going through this process, and something that you have experienced on a personal level and a professional level is that when we go through a divorce, and this is really so much of what we do here at Fresh Starts, your identity changes, your experience of the world changes. What are some ways that you've seen this occur in all the different ways between your life and your clients?
Absolutely. So I remember something my therapist told me at the time when I was separated was that I was somewhere in between who I was and who I was going to become. And I think that feeling that identity shift when you're going through a divorce is just, it's kind of rattling. So I'll share a couple of things that both I did and when I was going through divorce and something I encourage my clients to do as well. So one of the first things I did was I joined a CrossFit gym, and not that everybody needs to go out and try CrossFit, but what that allowed me to do was to have a totally new social sphere. When I was in my rather kind of small town feel community, I felt like I was in a fishbowl and that everyone was just kind of like staring at me. And I think that wasn't actually what was going on, but it felt that way. And I definitely, in a group of friends, was kind of like the one who was going through divorce. So it was nice to be in a totally new environment where I was learning a new skill, getting to just focus on that. And I was just a new member. I wasn't, I didn't have the divorce label attached to me. So I could just try a new thing that was totally my own and meet new people. And I think that really helped me kind of get my footing and just feel comfortable and like having kind of a break from all of the divorce stuff all day.
Absolutely. I love that suggestion. And like you said, it could be a pottery class. It could be roller hockey, right? It could be anything.
Right. It could be mahjong. It could be pickleball. It could be volunteering. Just anything that's new and different.
I love that. So what else did you experience in this shift in your life?
Sure. So while I was in the financial industry at the time, I was pretty new to it. So the sphere that I was in was more insurance at the time. So I didn't really have the certified divorce financial analyst lens at the time. I definitely wasn't surrounded by advisors who were in that. So the whole looking at projections for, what a lower income in a household would be and, starting retirement planning on my own would be, I didn't really have that skill set. So that was still new to me. And it's definitely new to a lot of my clients, especially women coming to me. They're, a lot of times they weren't the family CFO. So they could be perfectly capable, intelligent people, but they just aren't accustomed to practicing that skill. And it is a skill. Working on your personal finances, just like anything that we start anew, we can start with baby steps and just, be beginners and learn the skills. And certainly, we kind of are forced into that in divorce in that we have to complete our financial affidavits. And I think that can give us the feeling that it has to be completely perfect. And, don't get me wrong, the stakes are high and this is important to get all the information right. But we don't have to start at the very beginning with it being perfect. At the very beginning, we're just gathering information. So even if someone feels really intimidated by their taking on their finances, if they just take one little step at a time, if they just say, okay, today I'm going to look at what are all of our debts and I'm going to see what I can do in 30 minutes, 15 minutes to start getting that list together, get that inventory together. Just those small incremental steps will help you gain more confidence in that skill. And it also allows you to see yourself differently in that you can see yourself as, oh, I am this person who can take on my personal finances. I am capable of doing that. And so we have this, I call it the confidence equation of agency and building skills. So we bring those things together and, suddenly we're becoming this new person and we're feeling more capable and confident in not just ourselves and our skills, but, what our new life is going to look like.
I love that. I love that. And then what's one more thing that you experienced that the world sees you differently as you go through this?
Sure. I think a big thing for me and something I encourage my clients with as well is in how we communicate with our estranged spouse. So chances are, and I'm not a therapist, but chances are if we're going through the divorce, then maybe our communication patterns with our spouse weren't ideal. So we might want to think about, especially if it's, kind of you're accustomed to having tense conversations and, certainly it's a difficult time. Um, if we can kind of look for some pattern interrupts for how we interact with our spouse. So it might be just pausing before responding to a text or an email, or getting better at communicating more clearly and leaving some of the emotional verbiage out. So, and certainly this is a good place to lean on a divorce coach or a therapist to get, really specific skills there. But just finding new ways to communicate and, you know, like I said, breaking that pattern of poor communication styles and finding a new way. And I think just in that process, you can find some peace. You're protecting your energy especially if you're creating or communicating clear boundaries. But you're also, again, viewing yourself in a different light and building skills and becoming this new person.
I love that. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, Bridget?
Yes. So, as a certified financial planner and certified divorce financial analyst, I help clients both through the divorce experience in helping them look at what possible settlement agreements might look like. So, looking at all of your assets and debts and retirement projections and what's going to be a truly equitable and feasible settlement between spouses as they go through divorce. And then someone who is already through that process, um, then we're kind of starting with a blank slate and creating that financial plan for how to move forward. What do we want? What are our goals? What are we shooting for? Where are we now that we, kind of know where the dust has settled? And how do we get to where we want to be? And a lot of that is more of the viewing yourself differently, because that's a time where clients really get to decide, okay, I may look at retirement differently. I may look at my, housing situation differently. I may want to move, or, do something different with my kids than I used to do. Um, so that's really cool to I think is the cool part of my job is being able to see, I call it, this arc of the divorce experience where, it starts out, it's really raw and hard and emotional. And then seeing clients go through that experience and coming out on the other side. And, suddenly they're, taking a adventure trip with the Sierra Club or starting a new business or whatever the case may be. So it's super gratifying for me. And I love that I get to weave my own personal experience into helping my clients.
I love that. So before we let you go, Bridget, if somebody is listening to this and they're going through or considering a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with today?
So when I have a client coming to me and they're just at the beginning of that divorce experience, I don't sugarcoat it, um, but I like to tell them that this is going to really be awful and it's going to hurt and it's going to take longer than you think it should, and it won't last forever. You will get through this, and I am here with you through it. And eventually, life's going to feel pretty darn good. So I like
Yeah,
to hold that hope out for clients.
I love that. I love that. Well, you can find Bridget over at Fresh Starts in the expert guide. We appreciate you, Bridget. We're so happy that you're part of our community. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Olivia.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.